I've just signed the lease on this new apartment here in Dubai. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the entire process from start to finish to rent an apartment in Dubai. And let me tell you, this process is not as easy as you might expect. There's actually quite a lot of steps involved and many steps that I was not told about before, many fees, like hidden costs. All my previous apartments here were just short-term rentals, so I didn't have to actually go through the entire process of getting a tenancy contract and Ejari and all of that. I just thought I'd make this video to anyone out there who is looking to rent an apartment in Dubai. So this might be a bit of a lengthy video because I want to literally cover everything that you would ever need to know, because I couldn't find any other resource online that could cover like literally everything step by step in the same way as I'm going to do right now. So we're going to talk about where to find apartments, which areas I recommend, what are the utility costs, and importantly, how do you actually set up all these utilities properly, how to negotiate the best price, what are the things to keep in mind before and after you sign your contract, and how to register this contract in the official government system of Ejari, and everything else that you need. And at the end, I will also give you a full financial breakdown of how much all of these actually ended up costing. So first things first, how do you find apartments to rent here as an expat? Well, before you start doing that, obviously you need to be a resident here. You need to have your Emirates ID because you're going to need that in the rental process. And most likely you're also going to need to have a local bank account open. I covered the full process on how to move to Dubai, how to get your Emirates ID, how to open a bank account, everything like that in a separate video, which I'm going to link somewhere in here or in the description down below. So assuming you have gone through that entire process, then at that point you can start looking for apartments. And there are two sites that are most popular for looking for long-term rentals, and those are Property Finder, which is my favorite, and Beirut. And if you're looking for short-term rentals, there's obviously Airbnb, and the website that I have been using up until this point for all my apartments in Dubai is called Blueground. Essentially for like short-term rentals from 1 month up to 12-month rentals. But if you want a proper tenancy contract with an Ejari, with all the protections of the tenancy regulations here, which are actually very pro-tenant here, and for that you would use either Property Finder or Beirut. And the way it's going to work is that the agent, who is the agent working on that listing, is going to be listed on there, and you're going to be able to send a WhatsApp message directly from the website, and then you can essentially go from there, inquire about it, go look at viewings, things like this. So before you choose your apartment, you obviously want to choose which area you're living. So I'll briefly cover the top areas that I mostly recommend for expats and entrepreneurs. The first one is going to be Dubai Marina, where I have mostly stayed here in Dubai. I really like it because it's sort of a mix of like city life and holiday sort of beach lifestyle. You're very close to Jumeirah Beach Residence, which is the second area that I recommend here. And the second sort of main cluster in Dubai that I recommend is downtown / business bay. I stayed there for a couple of months at one point. I also really like that area. That area is more of just like city luxury vibes. So if you want beach, you want to be in Dubai Marina. If you want just city life, you want to be close to the Burj Khalifa, Dubai Mall, then you want to be close to downtown. The prices here are pretty similar. Downtown is slightly more expensive. Some other options are Dubai Creek Harbor, that some people are saying it's going to become like the new downtown or something. I really like it. It's sort of like Marina, except much quieter. So for someone looking for a more quieter lifestyle, that could be an option. Another more family oriented area is Dubai Hills. So this is especially great if you're looking for greenery in Dubai. However, if you're looking to save money, then the two areas that I recommend are Jumeirah Village Circle and Jumeirah Village Triangle. You can get places pretty affordably there, and you also still get access to like everything. You have a mall. It's not that far from the main hubs of Dubai. I made a full video about the full rental costs in these different areas that I will also leave below in the description below. Once you have found your apartment, what do you need to do? Well, the first thing you want to make sure is that the agent that you're reaching out to works for an established company in Dubai. There's a lot of real estate agents here that have arrived like 2 weeks ago, that have never done it before. Like they don't really know what they're talking about. So you don't want to deal with an agent like that. There's also a lot of scams around where basically you will pay for some apartment and it turns out that the person who you thought owns the apartment doesn't actually own it, and you just got completely scammed. So you want to avoid all of that by only working with agents that work for established companies. And once you get further on in the process, before you pay any rent, before you write any checks, you want to ask for the title deed of that apartment, which is like the official certificate of who owns the apartment. And then you're gonna get the passport or Emirates ID of the owner from your rental agent. And you wanna make sure that the passport matches with the owner listed on the title deed to make sure that you're not being scammed, that the person who claiming owns the apartment actually owns the apartment. So that is something to keep in mind. And also in the negotiation process, the way it will work here is that you will pay your rent in what are called checks. So you will write physical checks, and this is how you pay your rent. And the less checks that you pay your annual rent in, the cheaper and a sort of better deal you're usually going to be able to get. And the tenancy contracts will usually be for 12 months, but I was able to get a break clause into my tenancy contract where basically I can end the tenancy at any point with a 1-month penalty. And that seems to be, from what I'm hearing, quite standard. And that is most likely what I'm going to do, because I don't intend on spending the summers here in Dubai. The important thing to keep in mind that when you're moving into your apartment, there's going to be quite a lot of upfront fees and deposits and a lot of like upfront things that you're going to need to have ready to be paid before you can even move into your apartment. First of all, you're going to obviously have to pay the first check of however many checks you're paying your rent in. Then you're going to have a 5% agency fee that is going to go to the rental agent. And you're going to have a rental deposit, which for me amounted to around 1 month of rent. I think it was maybe 6 weeks of rent or something like that. But that is actually not all of the upfront costs. Believe me, we will get to some more costs in a second. But another thing to note before you're moving in is that it seems to be normal here that you're going to actually write out all the checks before you actually move into the apartment. So let's say you're paying in 2 checks, which I am actually doing. I paid the first check as a bank transfer, so I didn't actually have a physical check because I was outside of the country at the time. And then before I moved in, I actually wrote out and handed the second check already. That's what's called a post-dated check. So when I was doing this, I had no idea what that even means because I've never written a check before in my life. But what that means is that you write a date on the check, and that means that the check can be cashed in, so the money can be drawn from your account on the date that you list on that check. So the money won't actually be collected, but that's just security for the landlord. So once you've done all of that, you're still not ready to move in because you need to now register your tenancy contract in the official government system that is called Ejari. I think it's a really great system they have. It essentially just ensures that all the tenancy contracts are done in the proper way and they're all properly registered with the government to protect the rights of both the tenants and the landlords. And doing that is usually the responsibility of the tenant, and it was not that easy to find exactly how to do it. So here's exactly how to register your Ejari properly. All right, so to register the Ejari, you need to head to dubailand.gov.ae, and over here you need to find the correct service, which you will find over here, most popular services, and it is called registration and renewal of lease application. This is what you need to do. And basically right now you're going to need to create an account with the Dubai land government. And after you do that, you're going to be able to essentially complete the service where you just fill out your details about your residence visa, as well as details about your contract, including the rental amount and things like this. And the fee to do this will be around 177 dirham. Once you register your Ejari, it's going to take, I think, a few days for it to be approved. And after that, you're still not ready to move in. Well, you might be. It sort of depends. For me, what I had to do is apply for a move-in permit. So this is if you're living in an apartment building. There's essentially this form that you have to fill to essentially inform the building that you are now moving in to the building as a tenant. So you will ask for these moving permits if they're required from your rental agent. And this is again something that I had no idea about. The agent did not tell me about this. Luckily, I had a friend who sort of flagged this to me. And for me, I had to do it 3 days before I was moving into the apartment. So I sent them over, it was approved, and now I was finally ready to move into the new apartment. So your next step is now to set up your utilities. So what utilities you need? Well, you need electricity, you need water, you need internet, you might need gas, like depending on your apartment, and you're gonna need air conditioning. You may or may not need to set all of these yourself, but for me personally, I had to do all for myself. So I'm not gonna walk you through exactly how to do that. For water and electricity, Dubai has only one provider, and that is the government provider, DEWA, Dubai Electricity Water Authority. I think that's where it's come from. So that makes this quite easy. What you have to do is register on this website, on the DEWA website, and then you're going to need this contract account number, which should be listed on your tenancy contract or on the title deed, which again, you should get from your agent. And after you've done that, you need to pay a deposit, which is going to be refundable once you move out of the apartment, which will be 2,000 dirhams, as well as an activation fee of 130 dirhams. dirhams. And after you do that, your electricity and water is now going to be connected. For air conditioning, I think in some cases this can be included in your DIWA bill, but in my case I had to set it up separately. So you need to find out what is the provider that you need to register with. For me, it was this company called Zener. So I had to register at this website at myzener.ae/moving, where again filled in some details, and I had yet another deposit of 1,500 dirhams, as well as an activation fee of 262.5 dirhams. For internet, Dubai has two main providers. These are Du and Etisalat. Basically, the general consensus seems to be that Du is the go-to provider for home and internet, whereas Etisalat is the go-to provider for mobile and SIM cards. I have an Etisalat SIM card, no problems there. I would just go with Du directly. Don't even bother reaching out to Etisalat. The package that I went for was this one. The process was fairly easy and quick, and we arranged a time the next day for the person to set it up, and everything was very smooth, at least for me. No complaints there. With this one, as you can see, you can get a discounted rate if you get a 24-month commitment, but there is a clause where you will be able to end this contract early, and at least according to my calculations, that will still come out much cheaper than keeping the contract going when I am not here in Dubai. Again, I'm not going to spend the summer months here in Dubai. So that is what I went for. Oh, and before all of this was set up, there was yet another deposit of this time only 150 dirhams. So you can see how these deposits and these upfront costs are really starting to add up. But on the positive side, the installation and everything was completely free. So that is very nice. The last thing I had to set up was gas. I think this will depend on whether you need gas in your apartment or not. We have a gas stove, so we needed to set up gas. This was yet another thing that my agent did not tell me about. So we had to reach out to the landlord to figure out which gas provider is linked to my apartment. In our case, it was this company called Brother Gas. So I just gave him a call, and then I believe the next day or 2 days later, someone came in and installed it. And before he left, I had to pay, you guessed it, yet another deposit of 500 dirhams plus a 315 dirham activation fee. So that takes care of the setup. I've not had any bills yet for any of these utilities, so I can't really tell you exactly how much it's going to be, but I will update you on a future video with the full breakdown of how much all of these utilities and running costs end up costing me. So make sure to subscribe to the channel to not miss that video. So in terms of the full financial breakdown, in terms of all the costs that I had to pay basically to even able to properly move into this apartment. First of all, I had obviously my rent, 155,000 dirhams, which I pay in 2 checks. So I had to pay 77,500 dirhams upfront. And then I had the agent fee of 5%, 8.1k dirhams, the rental deposit of 15.5k dirhams, all the utility deposits of 1,500, 2,500 and 150, totaling 5,150 dirhams. And that is still not all, because there is also what is called the Dubai municipality tax, which is calculated at 5% of your total rental value. The way you pay this is that it's basically added every single month to your DIWA bill. So as part of your DIWA bill, you're gonna pay this 5% tax in 12 monthly installments. Again, another thing that my agent did not tell me about, even when I asked about this, like, are there any other fees?
No, there's no other fees.
So for the year, that will amount to 7,750 dirhams. So the total upfront amount that I had to pay, even though my rental check was only 77,500, was a total of 106,000 dirhams. And of course, a lot of those, so around 20k of those, are going to be refundable deposits. So I will get them back, but you just want to make sure you're aware of this. Like, there's a lot of upfront costs, a lot of upfront fees you're gonna need to have ready to pay when you're moving into an apartment. Now, if you're not an entrepreneur and you don't have a lot of money and you're just working here as a regular employee, from what I understand, a lot of employers will give you some kind of a signing bonus or something like that to basically help you with all of these upfront costs. But regardless, like, this is just something you need to be aware of when moving to Dubai. So that was a very lengthy process, but all of that is just for setting up your apartment. Obviously, when you're moving to Dubai, there's a bunch of other things to consider, like setting up your mobile account, setting up your bank account, which can be a whole another process as well. And obviously, how to set up your company, your visa, everything like that. So if you're looking for all of those details on everything you need to know when you are moving to Dubai, besides this entire apartment process, and actually made a full guide on how to move to Dubai, which you can watch right here. It's been one of the most successful videos. And with that, I will see you in the next one.